Hey everybody, welcome to Game Time. I'm your humble host, the Fantasy Typhoon, aka the Mentalist, aka your favorite analyst. And it's Thursday, folks. It's Thursday. We're already at Thursday during the week, and you know what time Thursday is? The doc is in, and this week I have special guest, Dr. Jesse Morse. It's game time.
It's about to go down in a minute. Let me touch down. I'ma get it. Cause I been waiting all night. It's game time.
Yes, everybody, it's game time. Welcome to the show. It's the doc is in. I have Dr. Jesse Morse right there in the green room. He's going to come in 1 second. But before we get to the doc, I just want to let you know the itinerary. Monday is Hurt or Help. That's when I face the firing squad. If my advice helped you through the week, let me know. If my advice hurt you during the week, let me know. That's Hurt or Help. Tuesday is Waiver Show. I usually have a special guest. The past Tuesday, I had my good friend Wolf of Roto Street come on. He dropped the bomb on all the waivers. If you missed that, go check the replay. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit the notifications. And if you're watching on Periscope, make sure you subscribe. Come rock with the Fantasy Typhoon. Wednesday, I have Can You Beat the Coin with my good friend Jeff Hasley at the world famous Football Guys. That's more for you bettors. We go over the spreads. We kind of flip a coin and kind of see, go over the spreads and kind of see who's going to win what and who's going to cover and who's not. Then Thursday, which is today, is when I have a doctor in and we go over those injuries because those injury reports are out. Now we need to know who's up, who's down, when will they come back, so we can know so before we set our rosters for the week. And then Friday is Freestyle Friday. Hey, I just come on. I don't have itinerary, just whatever. We just sit back and talk whatever you guys want to talk about, questions, do anything you want on Friday. Now, without further ado, let me bring on Mr. Jesse Morse of the Fantasy Doctors. What's up, Doc? What's going on, man?
How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine, Doc. We're doing fine. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day to come sit down and talk some fantasy football with good old Typhoon, man. I really appreciate you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, look, let me just go through the teams on bye right quick. We got the Falcons on bye, Cowboys on bye, Chiefs on bye, Chargers on bye. And tonight's game, which is going on right now, we got the Titans and the Colts. And Doc, let me just go over who got in a full practice today. Noah Fant got a full, Austin Hooper full, Tyler Eifert full, Miles Sanders a full, John Brown full, Aaron Jones full, Juju, Eric Ebron, Alshon Jeffrey, and Antonio Gibson all are full. Is there anything you need to update on any of those guys?
Antonio Gibson popped up yesterday, and a lot of people were concerned, but it sounds like it was no major concerns. It's shoulder injury, but we don't really have any details on it. Fire him up, rock and roll. And then Noah Fant, again, similar concerns, but he should play. He should be fine. They lost their other tight end to a torn ACL, so he may get a bump in targets. And then Judy should play also, even though he's dealing with a shoulder injury. So neither concerns about either of those Broncos.
So fire those guys up. No concern about any limited play.
So neither of those guys. I mean, Fant's going to be dealing with his ankle for a while. It was probably a high ankle, and they just let him come back earlier than expected. And he tweaked it again last week, but he came back, and the fact that he's going to play again this week is relatively good news. He may not be 100%, but he's going to get the targets, and he's going to be more effective than most of your other tight ends this week. Your other options, you're starting to run out of options.
Look, tight ends now, if you get 4 for 50, 55, that's a good week.
If they fall into the end zone, it's a good week.
I know, right? He fumbled the ball and recovered a fumble in the end zone. That is an excellent week.
Yeah, you can't all be Kelsey.
But since we're talking about tight ends, I might be popping this one up on you. I just saw it. T.J. Hawkinson, he just popped up on the injury report. Something about a toe or something.
So,
are you ready for that one?
Yeah, I did a video on it earlier today. So, he had a toe injury a couple weeks ago, probably turf toe, if I were to guess. And he played last week. He's been doing pretty good. And then all of a sudden he practiced yesterday and then did not practice today. We don't like to see no practice at all after a full practice, a re-aggravation of a previous injury. Turf toe injuries are very frustrating. And a lot of the guys they struggle to push off the ball, like to push off to be able to get any leverage to really get any separation. And it's not good that he's 2+ days away from a game. So if he does play, and I don't even know if he's going to, be careful with your expectations for him. Galladay's going to be out too. So they're starting to get a little thin on a receiving core there.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's just touch on these concussions right quick. I think there's two that are really major concerns. We got David Johnson and David Montgomery. Do we expect to see either one of those guys this week?
David Johnson is almost 100% out. The concussion protocol is 5 steps. Fastest you can do it is 5 days. And he has not cleared the 3rd stage yet. He hasn't shown up on the field, which means he hasn't done any the 3rd stage, which means it's pretty much impossible for him to clear the protocol by Sunday. He'd be really high risk if they did. And then David Montgomery, because it's a Monday night, it's a little bit shifted. So we don't really have any details for him. I haven't seen if he's got on the field. They usually practice on Saturdays, so he really needs to get a padded practice in tomorrow or at least something. And then ideally he clears the protocol on Saturday. If he doesn't clear it on Saturday, he won't play on Monday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's leaning more towards both of those guys being out. So you need to make.
Yeah, we don't know Montgomery yet, but Duke Johnson should lead the way this week. Whether or not that's a good thing, we'll see.
Yeah, Duke has a rough matchup this week. So even though he is in line for all the touches, he just had a bad week pop up on him. That's how it happens sometimes, right?
Yeah.
I got a question right quick. Let's just hit this question. Zen22, one of the good friends of the show. Should I be worried about CMC's injury?
So this is one of those rare times that we actually have really good clarity on an injury without obviously evaluating him. So unfortunately, he suffered that high ankle way back when, was out for an appropriate amount of time, came back, landed really hard on his shoulder. You saw him grimace when he came up. He made it one more play, but he definitely wasn't comfortable. You saw the trainer adjusting his shoulder pads, and he was kind of doing this, like trying to get the shoulder pad off of his chest and off of his shoulder. We find out he has the initial eval and primary, probably the team doc said, yeah, I'm a little concerned you're going to be out a couple of weeks. And then the second opinion said, I agree, you don't need surgery, but you do need to at least miss this week. So that tells me that he's got a AC or shoulder sprain, and there are essentially, we'll call it 6 types. The 4, 5, and 6 types are automatic surgery. There's no question they're done. So it's not one of those. If it was a grade 1 or type 1, he would be playing this week. These are very mild that usually guys do fine. So it's probably not that. So that means it's either a grade 2 or a type 2 or a type 3. Type 3s are very frustrating. Half of them go to surgery. Half of them do fine with just rehab. But they take about a month. So he could have a type 3, but the way that they're commenting on it, it's probably a type 2, which means that realistically he could come back in the next week or 2. But he is at high risk. If he lands on that shoulder hard or takes a big hit, he will re-aggravate those ligaments that are holding the shoulder, the top of the shoulder in place. And he probably won't be able to do much because he won't be able to reach his arms above his head. He won't be able to comfort the ball. So it's unfortunately a concerning injury. I wouldn't be surprised if they held him out until week 14 after their bye. That would be the most logical thing to do with their star player, but I don't have a say in the matter.
I know, right? I mean, week 14, that does seem wise, put the player in front. But, I mean, as far as reaching up, being able to catch the ball, we know McCaffrey is pretty much a running back and a wide receiver.
Yeah.
He really needs to be able to move those joints freely to be able to catch the ball and take some of those hits. So folks out there, if you have Christian McCaffrey, boy, that's what you say, week 14, right?
I mean, right. Week 11 is possible, but I don't feel good about it. And week 12 is possible, but again, he's one hard landing away from re-aggravating it. Maybe he turns it into a type 3, which means the ligaments are pretty much fully torn. And a grade 4 means that the collarbone moves and either pops up underneath the shoulder blade or behind it or something where you have to do surgery. So these take at least 3 weeks to stabilize, and there's nothing you can really do about it. So, I mean, he could come back in 2 weeks, but I don't feel very good about it. Mike Davis should get more love. Wow.
And you said I'm focusing on week 14 to us. That's fantasy. That is fantasy playoffs. That's when we need him rocking and rolling. So, folks out there, if you're listening, look, you might be able to steal him when he underperforms, due to that shoulder. You might come out and rotate a lot with Mike Davis. Folks might think, well, he's in the timeshare, but he's not. It's the shoulder. So, kind of watch.
This is a hard one to go by. I mean, he's disappointed all year indirectly by nature of injury. So, unfortunately, just a bad year for him.
Yeah, it happens, man. It happens. Let's see. Raheem Mostert. Anything? Is he playing again this year, or should we go ahead and give up?
He needs another week or two, though. He's not ready yet. That ankle. We saw Jimmy G try to come back on the high ankle, and it wasn't a good idea. You can't rush these. The guys hate this feeling when they come back and their ankle's not ready. So he needs another week, maybe 2. Their bye is coming up actually. So I wouldn't be surprised if him and Kittle came back around the same time.
Oh, okay. So we get Kittle back too.
As long as they told us the right story, we heard it's a cuboid fracture, which is a small bone in the foot, and it was not a traditional fracture where the bone's in 2 pieces. It was what we call an avulsion fracture, which means that the tendon that is attached to the bone essentially pulled a piece of the bone off. But if you stabilize it, usually these only take about 2 to 4 weeks to heal. My partner at the Fantasy Doctors is a foot and ankle surgeon at Duke. He treats these all the time. So he's like, 2 weeks, maybe up to 4. But they put him on temporary IR, so you already lost him for 3 weeks. So I don't think it'll be 8. But we'll see. We also have to see how he does. If he re-aggravates it or does something else, that's going to change the timeline.
Yeah. All right, let's rock and roll on. We got one on. Kenyon Drake be back this week. He won't be back this week, right?
Game time decision again, high ankle. So I wouldn't. Maybe, but I wouldn't trust him. I can't trust him this week.
Yeah, fire up Chase Edmonds this week, folks. It looks like a Chase Edmonds week. Let's see. This is one everybody wants to know about this guy here. I also have Chris Carson. He has been out a while now. What is the deal with Chris Carson? Because, Pete Carroll comes out to the media. He gives us 20%, but he won't give us that 80%. So, Doc, can you fill in the 80% for us?
So you want to know what's funny? And I don't know if anybody caught this earlier, but somebody direct messaged Chris Carson on Instagram.
I missed that.
He better get back because he needs him back on his team. And Carson said, I'll come back when I'm ready to come back. And he gave him an address and told him to come fight him.
Wow. See, that gives us a bad look.
I'm like, come on, man. So
why you bothering that man?
Here's the situation. Do you remember the foot injury that Cam had last year?
Yeah. It was plantar. Yeah, Liz Frank something, right?
That's the same thing Joe Mixon has. That's the same thing that Chris Carson has. So A mild one takes about 3, maybe 4 weeks. These are bad injuries. Moderate ones, you're done for the year, pretty much. That's what Cam had. Cam had to have a screw. So these are frustrating injuries. This is basically holding up the arch of your foot. So if you sprain that ligament bad enough, you every time you want to you step, the bridge of your foot wants to collapse. So you got to wait for this thing to heal. If not, they're just not effective. They don't feel like they can do anything. They don't have any explosiveness. So he's probably going to be a game time decision. I think they have a Thursday night game next week, so I wouldn't be surprised if they held him out and just started him then. Hyde's going to be out also. His hamstring's not ready yet, so it's probably going to be another DJ Dallas homer game.
Ooh, DJ Dallas homer game. Fire him up, folks. Fire him up. Now you kind of touched on Joe Mixon a little bit. Can you give us a little bit more on Joe Mixon? So he's still not practicing.
So it's kind of funny because the reports on him, he isn't practicing in the team drills, but the several reporters that are on site say he looks great in the side drills. So I don't know if they're just being extra careful with him. Again, this injury is frustrating, and maybe they cut him loose tomorrow and see what he does with the team. But maybe they say, we're not quite ready to set him free, and we'll hold out on week 10 and we'll hold off for week 11. So, we just had his bye. So, he had an extra week to heal, but I don't like the fact that he's not with the team yet, like full practice, which means that in their opinion, he's not completely ready yet. So he's probably going to be a game time decision, but I would not be surprised if he's out this week at all. Not at all.
Okay, folks, you're paying attention here. Let's see. 5 more, Doc, and I'll go ahead and let you off the hook, man. Let you go ahead on about the business. Bryce Love. Now that's for me. I got 2 for me. Those are mine. Bryce Love. I'm just curious. They say he's working on the side field. I think coach has said something to the fact that he has his burst, he has his quickness. Pretty sure you read that. What do you think? He hasn't even played yet, has he?
No. So Love is one of those special players that suffered a bad injury. He had the torn ACL, and these just take a long time to heal. And some guys get lucky. Adrian Peterson, genetic freaks, and it's like they never missed a step. But that's not expected. That's the exception, not the rule. The rule is these are very frustrating injuries. A lot of guys take, depending on what other injuries they had, if they had a meniscal tear, if they had other ligament injuries, they take a good year and a half to come back. And a lot of the times you will have setbacks. That's what happened with Darius Geis also. He had a hamstring injury and then he tore his meniscus and it had that injury. So ACLs are pain in the butt, and he's still trying to work his way back. Is he potentially going to come back this year? Maybe. I feel better about him coming back this year than Rashad Penny. I don't think Rashad Penny does much at all this year. His ACL isn't even a year old yet. I don't think it's been a year yet. Whereas Bryce Love's was before the last season. So it was 2018 season. Yeah, because he missed all of last year.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So you don't expect us to see Penny at all?
Maybe, but if it is, he's the exception, because 9 to 12 months is the normal rule of thumb, and it hasn't even been 12 months yet. So maybe what I've kind of realized is that the guys that suffer these, that are in the NFL, when it happens, they have a tendency to do worse, especially the running backs. The wide receivers do fine. The tight ends do fine. The quarterbacks do fine. But it's that quick cutting, the constant zigzag motion that the ACL doesn't like, and it just can't. It takes time to come back. That's why Dalvin Cook took about a year. A lot of these guys take about a year that are running backs, whereas like Cooper Kupp didn't even look like he missed a step. He had a great year last year. And he got tired at the end. But so it's possible that Penny comes back this year, but it's not someone I would get my hopes up. It'd be nice, but I'm not feeling the best about it.
Man. Whew, I was hoping I was hoping to get Penny back this year, but looks like he won't make it back. Let's see what we got. Mark Ingram, man. Everybody wants to know Mark Ingram because a lot of folks have J.K. Dobbins ready to rock and roll. I'm pretty sure Ingram is out this
Not
week,
ready
right?
yet. No, he's not ready.
When do you think
he's got
he'll be
that
ready?
dreaded high ankle, and unfortunately, he needs at least another week, maybe two. And even in the early season, he wasn't doing very good. I mean, none of them were really doing much. Their game is too scripted. Teams know what they're doing because they do the same thing every play every week.
Right.
So Dobbins is great. I mean, Dobbins has ridiculous explosion, and Gus Edwards looks good too. So I think if Ingram comes back, and probably maybe next week, probably the week after, he's gonna play, third fiddle. I don't think he's gonna be a primary back anymore.
Yeah, I'm thinking that as well. Harbaugh probably give him the speech. Hey, buddy, come into my office. Hey, we need you for the playoffs, so we're going to kind of bring you in as a third fiddle. You know how it is.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He gets.
Tell him that.
He's a
tell him that way. Tell him that way. But they telling him, look, man, we can sit you down for time. That's what we're doing. But you know how it go. Let's see. About 2 or 3 more than Justin Jackson. Are we firing up Kalen Balazs this week?
This might be a Pope week, but Justin Jackson tweaked his knee. I just can't trust him. He had a great matchup last week. He injured it, but I think it was the first or second play, and that was it. He's done for the game. We don't know the injury. If I were to put my money on it, it's probably either an MCL sprain or a meniscal injury, meniscal tear. But he needs to get back on the field and be effective for me to trust him again. So, and I don't think that's going to happen this week or next week. And then Eckler is probably going to be back in week 13, which is a big deal. And then, so I don't trust Jackson. I don't think he's going to come back in the next week or two. And when he does come back, what are you going to get out of him?
Yeah, that's true. So Balazs might be somebody to pick up, and you never know what you might find on the wire. You never know. Never know. But I mean, just look at it. You got Mark Ingram, Chris Carson, Carlos Hyde, Joe Mixon, Bryce Love, Raheem Mostert, Justin Jackson, King Drake. If you see the trend here, all of these running backs with these nagging injuries, make sure you put depth to your running back group, because these guys, Tevin Coleman, I mean, these guys are Jeffrey Wilson. I mean, these guys are going down. Saquon Barkley, Run CMC. I mean, these guys are going down. Am I right, Doc? Running backs are
taking out
them.
of all the running backs in the top 15, who are the only 3 that didn't get injured? Henry, Zeke. Well, Zeke's a little banged up, but he played. And then Henry and Zeke.
Kamara hasn't had an injury yet, right?
Who's that?
Kamara.
Oh no. Well, Kamara had he had the injury scare at the beginning of the year, but it wasn't an epidural. It was a we'll call it SI joint, which is much less concerning. He's been ridiculous. He had that toe injury, but it's not a big deal. So yeah, he's been fantastic. But think about it. Mixon, Miles Sanders, CMC. We lost Saquon. Drake's been injured. Aaron Jones has been injured. Josh Jacobs has been banged up. Chris Carson's been banged up. Nick Chubb's been banged up. I mean, that's pretty much the top 15 guys right there.
It is. And it is wild that everyone said fade Henry because he would get hurt. Henry was the one that was faded. But Henry is the man standing playing tonight. I really don't know what his fantasy stats look like as of right this moment.
Do you want to know what's kind of ironic? You know who got the first touchdown of the game? I have it on and over there. Do you remember Devonta Foreman?
Oh, get out of here. Devonta Foreman was the one that came through with the touchdown?
Yeah. He got they threw him a touchdown on like the 10-yard line or something.
But, you know what? We on my waiver show, that's the one that we told everybody to go pick up this week. is Donta
Yeah,
Foreman.
he surprisingly
You
scored
never
the
know.
first touchdown. I don't know
We,
how it's playing out from since then, but it's still 7
we,
nothing.
we were like, you never know. So we told everybody to go pick him up just in case. And he's already kind of showing that. So on her to help, hopefully I should get a pat on my back, but that was Don. You know, this job pays off every now and then. You know what I mean?
I got to go record the my weekly roundup where I do all the injuries. I break them up into 3 episodes. I do quarterbacks, tight ends, and then we do running back show, and then we do wide receiver show. So I'm about to record that. But we grinding. We working hard. There's a lot of players injured. We're on predominantly on YouTube. We have our site, the Fantasy Doctors. You can get kind of everything there. If you're on TikTok, which a lot of people are, we're on TikTok now. I do shorter videos for that, and then primarily on Twitter. That's where most people will find me. But the season's not over. We still got a lot of grinding to do.
Yeah. Let me get 2 more out of you, Doc. Lazard, will he be reactivated this week?
They haven't said anything, but if I were to put my money on it, yes.
Okay.
I think he's back.
One more, Doc, and I thank you for your time, man. One more. This is for me. One more. Gardner Minshew. Is he coming back?
He needs probably 4 weeks of healing total.
Oh,
he's got a fracture and a injury to the ligament that Drew Brees tore last year. Same thumb ligament. So, and I think they know what they have in Minshew, and they want to see what's going on with this new dude. So, probably another week or 2, and then the question becomes, who's your better option?
Right. Do you want to keep Lutton? I think Jake Lutton or something his name is. You want to keep him in?
He looked okay last week.
He did. He threw a nice little pass to Chark. But they're tanking anyway. So, I mean, they're not actually tanking, but they're starting players that are not to optimal NFL quality, but they're still playing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They playing football, but they're tanking. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, but, yeah. They need a whole redo.
No, they need a whole redo from everything. They might need to change the name and change owners, everything. They need to everything.
They're going to have the Jacksonville football team.
Just burn it all up. But look, Doc, thank you for your time, man. Look, one more time, man, just tell the folks what you got in the oven, man, and what you're doing and how they can find your work.
So you can find me on Twitter at Dr. Jesse Morse, Instagram, the same thing, or at the Fantasy DRS on Twitter or Instagram, or the Fantasy Doctors on TikTok. We put out videos every day on YouTube and TikTok. Just hit 1 million views over the past month on YouTube. So maybe you.
Congratulations,
we grinding, man.
That is a task, my friend.
Yeah, we grinding over here. But come join us. You get sound injury advice for free.
For free, yeah. So make sure you guys be not following them. I'm gonna put your stuff up here. Make sure if you're not following them, make sure you follow Doc at Dr. Jesse Morse. Is that the one you want them to follow you at, or at the Fantasy Doc? Well, all right, folks, we get ready to get out of here. Look, Doc, hang on for 1 second. I want to talk to you before we go. All right, folks, thank you for watching Game Time. I'm your host, the Fantasy Typhoon. It's been Thursday. The Doc is in. Hopefully we got all your questions answered. Hopefully we got you ready to rock and roll. Remember, tomorrow is Freestyle Fridays. Anything goes. Just bring it all to me. Let's do it. We gone.